call this special meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Education to order its time. Meeting agenda is set due to the call meeting. We're going to be discussing board member district boundary lines this evening, possibly taking action. We don't know for sure yet. We have Mr. Shane New of Bluegrass Ad is going to be presenting some options that he's come up with through his work. And I guess what I'm waiting on Ricky to get here for a few minutes, if you don't mind, but I guess, and chime in, guys, if we need to, but I guess what we'd like to see is kind of for you to go over each one of the options you have and kind of the rationale for each one, and we'll ask questions as we go and see where we're at.
Okay,
All right.
good. You gotta give him a little more time.
Let's give him just a few more minutes, yes, sir. Let's see. And
Now, y'all know I can't stand this. Somebody saying Mary had a little lamb.
you don't want to hear my voice.
What about the itsy bitsy spider?
It's hard on us talkers to hear silence.
Oh, I know. I can't stand it, Jane. I can't stand it.
Anybody that's watching online, I'm sure is greatly entertaining.
Yeah, they probably think they're sound like me.
Well, let me get it up. Anna. Which one are you looking at?
This is one.
I can just about show you where the,
Nobody's looking at this.
we're online,
Text you back, yeah. Yes.
but I'm sure nobody's watching. Now, when I last drove, well, the roads ain't on yet.
Yeah.
We, Brad Petrie Road,
34 minutes.
Jim Weaver Road,
Turkey Town.
those kids come to Waynesburg.
I see, I listed all those roads. Dog walk,
Dog walk's not.
dog walk's not.
No. Colin Carter did it in, up by Dog Walk, and they go to Crab Orchard. Or did.
Yeah.
But, Snyder's Bottom.
Yellow.
When you get to the top of the hill,
Yes, sir.
Snyder's Bottoms, Jim Weaver Road's off to the left.
Yes, today, yes.
And so is that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we were not calling the meeting to order. You can just come on in and catch up. We're starting to look at some of the houses right now.
That dog walk is over this way, isn't that strange?
All right, thanks. None. Said it'll be here in less than 5 minutes. And he mistakenly thought it was Thursday.
Okay. You want to wait the additional 5 or go ahead and get started?
Well, we just have to tell him all over again if we start, won't we? Unless they got any questions or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my opinion. What y'all think? Wait until he gets here, or
I would need to wait a few more minutes.
5 more minutes.
She was at the top. She was talking at the top.
just pops up.
Okay, yeah. So mine's little, and I have to enlarge it. And maybe we had it enlarged, we just left it.
Eddie, did you walk up to any of the basketball games? Well,
Yes, we went Friday and Saturday.
that was awesome, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. I thought I was going to get rid of all that. I did that. Yeah, you did get rid of it. Okay, good.
Yeah, that basketball, that was impressive.
Did you
this
go?
year. No, I didn't get to go, but I didn't listen to a lot of it, so.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
I probably should have listened to it. I should have went to it. I was up at work at Lexington, so I could have just drove over there, and I thought about doing that.
I was so proud of our boys.
Mhm.
I was proud of their shoes and their uniforms, and I noticed some of those kids.
I was proud of the whole community coming out like they did. It
Yes.
Mhm.
was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
That was definitely a good run.
Don't come along often.
Yeah. Now they the games they had lost, they kind of lost early in the season too, didn't they? So they'd kind of been on a pretty good streak.
Yeah, they just started winning some
Yeah.
toward the end.
And of course, we had Evan that was on the
Injured, yeah.
bench that didn't get to play.
No good.
Will also.
Top, yeah,
Yeah,
you know, one of the top 5 players.
yeah. Definitely impressive.
We have a very superstitious coach.
Oh, dude, you know,
And Colton lost his uniform.
Oh,
Um,
I don't think they ever found it, did they?
Not to my knowledge.
yeah.
One of the boys tore their uniform, and I told him I had a sewing kit in my van, let me run to my van, and I could whip it real quick. And Coach Jackson said, every time he rips his uniform, his grandma sews it for him, and we're superstitious. We better wait and let grandma sew his uniform. I'm like, okay, no problem. Not at Rupp, but earlier in the season. If I'd left Rupp, I couldn't have got back in, but I'd buy another ticket.
And Gloria and I got to go to the play
Yeah.
Saturday night, and it was full because they had to call off Friday night due to illness. So that worked out
It was
well.
real neat too.
It was very good.
They put on some pretty good plays over there. I mean,
Mhm.
You got some really talented kids.
pretty good show.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have. Of course, Holden, you know, our student board member was
Mhm.
one of the main characters.
Oh, okay. So he does that,
He's
yeah.
got a good singing voice.
Huh. That's good. That's cool.
It sounds like random viral thing.
We'll have to all call Ricky and remind him before the next meeting. A lot of work went into that play. I guess a lot of work goes into all of them.
Did they get to do the play for the elementaries, Mr. Rowe, or do you know?
Not to my knowledge, no. I think
Yeah,
the flu
I
kind
didn't,
of
I
took it
didn't
out.
hear anything. I just wondered.
I'll let the fifth graders come.
They did let the.
There we go.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right. You're here now.
You think you live close by?
I hadn't even made it in the house. I was sitting in the driveway on the phone.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. He's gonna go through each one, explain the rationale behind each, ask and go from there. Mr. Newton, I will turn it over to you now.
Appreciate it. Okay, I will, real quickly just talk again about a little bit about the software. There is some things that's a little bit confusing. I don't know if you've got used to these colors or not enough. At least most of you probably know where you're kind of generally located at, so that'll help some. Obviously the green, it gets a little confusing because we have some colors over here and we have some colors over here. The colors over here kind of represent the actual different districts though. So I've got, one is the green, 2 is the orange district, 3 is the yellow. I guess that's I don't know if that's a pink or a maroon. I don't know what color you call that. So I should know, but I don't. But reddish, and then the blue color is District 5. So, and on this side, what you kind of have is green kind of shows us when we're in that range of kind of like the zone of percentage-wise that we want population. So that's kind of what we're searching for, is to get as many as we can in that green or as close as we can to getting those within that tolerance range. And then the yellow is actually over and the blue is actually under. So right now when we start, this is actually the current situation and where it's at. And obviously we have some issues that we need to get changed on that, but we also have some issues with just where they're at under and over. So, right now District 2 is over by 940, District 3 by 311, District 4 is under by 706, and District 5 is under by 750. So, just what that means is those areas, either from the last time you did it or whatever the situation may be, has either grown or changed or wasn't maybe as close as it needed to be even the first time, or as close as you wanted it to be. So getting it within that range. So what I'll do is, you want me to just start with number 1? And I kind of hate to do that one because that was mine throwing together that I was just throwing together quick. And I really didn't even get it finished. We'll step through it real quick anyway.
Is the population within 10% or something?
Yes, ma'am. What I try to do is set it within 10% is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Up here, I'll put the number of ranges, the number of districts that we have in there. It's 5. This right here shows the county population. This is from the 2020 census data, 24,275. And then of course I put the 5% population variable in there, which gives us 5% above and 5% below, total of 10 from, so if you had one that was right on the range at the top and one that was right on the range at the bottom, they would at least be within 10% of each other. So. So all I'm doing right now is just calculating it equal to those options that I have kind of set out here. And basically it's just a matter of putting numbers in a big table. Really that's what it comes down to. All of these different lines represent one census block out there. And the big thing that it has in it, of course, is the the district number that I put in there, and then that population number that's in there as well. So everything's okay. Okay. Now, like I said, when I ran this one, I really was just trying to pull as much as I could. I was trying to get the entire precinct over into one of the districts. So when I first started looking at it, I'm just kind of moving around, throwing them in random, not really looking at a whole lot of different issues. And my first initial thought was actually to come in this direction, but when I did that, that's where you live, so I would be putting you and Gloria in the same district right off the bat. So I thought, okay, well, we'll take Gloria the other way. And I just threw in this area right here, which happens to be where I live at. So that whole area right there, I just put it over in there. When we did that, you can see that got a lot of them fairly close. I mean, districts 2, 3, and 4 are now within the range. And District 1 is still over and that's the green, District 1 would still be over by 104, and District 5 is under, still yet by 267. So, and I also have the location of where everybody is currently located at. I do think it meets met the goal of keeping everybody within the current district. It also didn't move anybody, I think, that's currently running for that particular district into another district. And so, that as far as that, it met at least those two kind of things.
Can you show us exactly where we are on there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can leave this on the entire time. This is where you're located at right there.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think in this case, this is both where Mr. Lane is located at, and person running against him. So there wasn't much chance of moving them out of the district because they're right side by side. But obviously, this one here is kind of one of those that when you look at this one here, definitely on different sides of things. So if you didn't kind of watch it, you could easily accidentally move one of them out, or move you out or move them in, and kind of change things pretty drastically there. And then, that's where Mr. Smith is at. And Gloria is down here. And Gloria, I apologize for not calling you Miss Sneed.
That's all right, Gloria. All the kids on the bus called me Gloria.
So, it was just my first quick run. I don't know if there's, obviously I'm sure each one of you kind of have an area that you'd like to keep in your district or whatever that is. I didn't take any of that into account because I don't know it, obviously, but if in the end you all see this as the one you want to kind of start with working, we're not locked in. What I think we probably need to do is go through all three of them if you want to. If you're satisfied with one of those three, then that'll be great. But obviously pick the one that's closest to that. And if you all want to make some adjustments, we can do that as well. So we can see what they look like and maybe try some of the stuff. Yes, sir.
Does your program also have where the schools are located?
I don't have those on there. I should have probably done that. It's something we could probably locate it fairly quick, put them in there if we need to, as we go.
I was just curious where the elementary schools are.
Yeah.
I think I have a good idea of
Yeah.
where they are, but
Yeah.
when you
I
start
think we could locate them fairly quick if we want to put that.
So if we have to come back to make a decision, you could have those on there.
I could have those on there as well, yes. So, let's see. So that's the first run of it. I think one of the areas that changed quite a bit is this area here. That's going to be a change that they'll have to make over into at the county clerk's office for us changing precincts. That precinct did get split. Also, this area up here got split as well. So that precinct was split. Now, I do know, one of the things that Sonny wants to clean up in the future is this little area here and put it all into one precinct. So he'd be fine with making those changes and stuff as well. So, not that that's our major concern, but it definitely will help them out as well while we're at it. I'll go ahead and change. Does anybody have any question about that or want to look at anything in particular, any area in particular on that? Before I switch over to the number 2.
And we don't have the original map before we moved it to,
Yes, I did actually start out with.
No,
I'm sorry.
before that one.
before
Oh,
that, the
before that
original, when it was moved the
No.
last time.
No,
That's not
and we
available.
tried a little bit up at the clerk's office to find the information. There's multiple different problems with you can go back on the record books and look who ran and what precinct they were in and stuff like that to figure out some of it. But even if you did, I know for a fact the precincts changed because I was involved in changing the precincts of the magisterial districts 10 years ago. So then we had to go back and figure out, okay, what was the precincts even set up back then? I may have copies of that information, but I doubt it.
I don't think it helps.
I think on that one, like that we have like on the district's website, the Boneyville, Blue Lake area, that used to be with the McKinney.
Okay.
I think that was the one changed. And then, I think the question is which one of the Stanford.
Yeah, changed with it.
Yeah, I agree with Bruce, Mr. Smith on that, that's kind of I don't know that I necessarily want it changed to appease anybody. I was just curious of what it used to look like, and if that
Yeah.
worked, why did we move it to start
Yeah,
with? That's not a
exactly.
question you can answer, but.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did you say number 2 is overpopulated and 5 is under?
In the last version.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, no, option 1.
Okay, on option 1, I'm sorry, I've already changed it. I think if I remember correctly,
They were close,
weren't they?
option 1.
Yeah, they were both within 100 and something.
I think he said
Was it?
option 1 was over 100, and option 3 was below 200. Below
Yeah.
200.
Option 2 is over what?
Was option 1, I thought he said was over 100,
I can change it back.
and option,
Yeah.
and number 3 was down 200.
Let me-
Well, the reason I'm asking 5, I know that the Stafford area goes 5 miles out on 150. And it looks like that 5 could be moved more west on 150, give me more numbers and take down 2 then.
Mhm. Option 5 was under 267,
Mhm.
and and one, which is actually green, was over 100.
Okay, the 2 is the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, two is actually where it needs to be right now on this.
Okay, it's not over or
No.
under, it's just kind of right where it
Yeah,
should be.
it's
Okay.
actually a little,
Okay,
it's actually on so if you take some out of that, it's,
okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought that was the one that was over. Okay,
we might pull a few from that one, but it would be, I know we wouldn't be able to pull a full, precinct. We wouldn't definitely. be able to
just
pull- You'd
maybe,
have to pull a portion of it.
yeah, a portion of it.
Yeah,
Well, I know, like,
which
all
you
those
often do.
kids, actually, it's in precinct 2,
Yeah,
they all go to Crab Orchard
Yeah.
School.
yeah.
And they are told that's where they go to school.
Yeah.
But they're actually in Stanford's.
Represented.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, yeah, really, to be honest with you, I don't remember how I arrived at the second one, option number 2. I think that was a little bit of, just a little bit of difference, and it still could use a little bit of work. We have several that are, under and over and, on that one. District number 1 is actually under this one, by 105. And District 3 is under by 63, so District 3 is yellow. And then District 5 is actually over by 57. All of them are close enough to fit within a range that is not bad. And what I can highlight to show you what was changed, I can actually do this. If you want to look at this, I can do a selection set. Where So that shows all the areas that were changed. I don't know if you can see those ones that turned out in the blue. So, obviously, some was taken, some of what was in the orange before was taken into the blue, while some over here was taken in District 4. We had to swap around to the ones up here, and obviously this one here is pulled down from District 1 as well. So I think that's the way that one went. This one's close. I think of the three, I think number 3 is probably a little closer. And I don't know if it meets any of your requirements. This one here as well does not move anybody out of any particular district or anything like that as well, so. Is there any questions about that one? And again, District 1 is under by 105. District 2 is good. District 3 is under by 63. District 4 is good, and District 5 is over by 57. Which the numbers are fairly tight on that. Any questions on that one? If not, I'll move to option number 3. Okay. Option number 3 gets District 1 is currently still under by 183. District 2, 3, and 4 are all good, and District 5 is over by 7. So I really don't know, if this is probably the option to kind of start with, to look at, that maybe meets more of the needs. I just know that it's fairly close on what it amounts up to. It's close, real close on that, and I think we only split one precinct heavily, and that was the C-104, and it's the one that split the most on that. And I don't think that we split another precinct at all. So in saying that, splitting those precincts really just helps the county clerk's office, and it makes it a lot easier for them to move the people they're gonna have to move. There is a time constraint that we're up against, obviously, a little bit here. If you get this changed and change it by election time, obviously that's a major factor in getting people changed over in time so that the voting stuff can happen properly and make sure we're getting people changed into the proper ones. Definitely something we can do, but it is something time constraint. So obviously that makes it a little bit easier on their office. Now that's not what you have to do. You don't have to make it easier on their office. Now obviously I think the goal should be to try to make these the best we can make them. But I do think this is at least a good starting point, kind of for what I've seen, And, we can try to move from there and change whatever you think needs to be changed, or if you have any questions about that one or any concerns, be happy to try to answer anything I can. Once again, it doesn't move many people. I don't know if we changed, probably did change some of like what you say with the schools on maybe where, the schools was in which particular area. So there's probably a few of those that might have changed. I think Crab Orchard stays obviously in yours, and Waynesburg stays in yours. Probably, Mr. Lane might have picked up, I think you actually picked up the Stanford area. Stanford Elementary should be there.
You were already Stanford, weren't you?
Highland.
You were just Highland completely?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I thought you was a little bit of Stanford. Okay.
Well, he was.
Well, he had some in the Stanford
Yes,
area.
some
Some
in the
area.
You're the area,
But,
yeah.
but he's talking about the schools, the building.
And then, of
Oh, okay.
course, Houstonville would be still in, I think it was in your area to begin with, so.
Yeah, but
So,
I don't think that's a.
I don't necessarily believe that, keeping schools, each board member having a school, I don't, I think we're more interested in population, dividing it up a little bit there.
yeah, yeah,
Well, we're interested in population, I agree, but still, I think it's important.
The reason I
that
don't
board
think it's
members in their school, I mean, we, of course, support all our schools. And I have visited all of them 3 times. And, but still, I know more about Crab Orchard School
right,
than any other school,
right.
because I'm there, I know the people and talk to them. And I think it's important that a board member have a school if you can.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bruce, all right.
Here's just some things that I have some concern with. Is that, I think it's like June, right there, the first part of June for candidates to file. So there's still a few months for that to happen. Also, I've expressed this back earlier, in the magazine that we get as board members, back in the December issue, it was recommended in the procedure that we work alongside the fiscal court. It's my understanding they're not doing anything until, and what I've read, most other type of things are not doing anything until after 2023, and I think that's what House Bill 212 says. This has been an issue, and yes, it needs to be fixed. I brought it up 2 years ago, and there's already been other census data that it's been passed by. And also, I just think this, and some of my constituents have brought this after they've heard about it. It's just like now all of a sudden right here before an election that this needs to be taken care of. And then maybe some possible future agenda items. And I think back when we had a vacancy on the board here not too long ago, the board didn't want to be seen as interfering in that election. And I think, in my opinion, this would be very similar, especially when all these, like physical court and other things, are not making changes until after the election. So I just find this very odd that right now, the number of years and probably in trying to think back over the period of time, this is probably at least 15, if not more, years old. And that now all of a sudden here right before an election and that this has to be fixed. And my other concern is rushing this is that if you look at KRS 160.210, once you make a change, you can't make any more changes for 5 years. Is that correct?
that's my understanding too.
Yeah, it's 5 years.
So I just think, with all of possible other candidates, maybe going to file before the June deadline, whenever it is. And then all these others, we're not working with the fiscal court. Is my understanding, and you can correct me because you may be working with them, they're not going to do anything until 2023. And this regulation about changes, after I read it and some information we were given prior, and just the election, I just feel like this is something that we don't definitely need to be making a decision right now. Especially when we just had these here just a few days to be looking at. Because I think it appears that we're possibly trying to interfere in an election. Is some of the feedback that I've received.
I've got my part now. Bruce, the only reason this is on this agenda is because of conversations you and I had. We never discussed why you wanted to make changes in the boundaries, and that's fine. I put it on the agenda because you had brought it to my attention on several occasions. And I'd said, you know, it doesn't really matter to me as far as changing the boundaries at that time. You and I had that discussion. So for you to bring this up now and say this, that's fine. And we don't want to change it, let's not change it. But I don't understand why all that time you wanted to change things and wanted to bring this for the board, and now we're doing it. And now we're sitting here with Mr. New and you bring this up. I mean, I get it. There's parts of me that I agree with you. But if that was the case, why did we get to this point?
Well, I think I expressed some concerns back a meeting or so ago.
Yeah.
You
and
did.
trying to fund, yeah, there it is, in my notes. Back in January of 2020, January 9th meeting, I brought this up, you know, and it was just kind of, you know,
Because we were waiting on census data.
but again, there's been other census data, and I just find, I mean, constituents that talk to me just basically feel like if you start going and changing some of these right here prior to election, and, you know, there may be some people that still planning on following, you know, thinking, you know, that they're in one of these areas of the old original. Yes, it needs to be fixed, and it should have been fixed years ago, but it has never been, it's not been fixed. It's been looked over. That's my only concern, is that we didn't, as a board, back when we had the vacancy, because we didn't want to appear like we were interfering in an election. And I would have to agree with some of my constituents.
But we don't have a vacancy.
And
And
that's not my point.
we've not done anything that would interfere. If I understood correctly, we're only splitting one precinct
Yes, I think.
on
that's
this
correct.
one. If we go with this option, we're only splitting one precinct. So it's not, there's no gerrymandering going. It's been done with intelligence. And we're like a cat chasing our tail around and around in circle, and we're doing nothing. And I think that you know, my intent was never to interfere with an election.
Well, then let's put it off to 2023.
2023, we're gonna be up for election. There's always gonna be an election.
Well, there's, the 3 seats wouldn't be up until 2 years. But that's just been brought to my attention, and I feel like I need to voice what my constituents have said
But
to
we
me.
will have to apply.
So,
All right, let's back up. We've got some options in front of us. And as we said before, when we begin discussing this, we don't have to take any action at all. As Bruce is.
I definitely would like more time just to
Well,
study
yeah,
these options.
I'm not interested
wanna do
in
anything
any kind of
tonight.
action tonight. We just had that
Yeah.
case we did.
Um,
You know, my only thing is, if we say that we have to redo the boundaries, we've got reasons to redo them. We waited on census data to get it. That's what we were doing. That's why we're here now. That's why the timeline is taking what it has. And so here's where we're at.
and I mean, I personally thought when I asked for the options for us to look at, is I thought these were possibly 3, But sounding like now it's just option 3 is basically it.
No, well, no, not at all.
These are-
I'll be honest, I think option 3, from my viewpoint, and once again, I will say that of all the people in this room, my viewpoint counts the least on this. I do have students in your district, but I mean, quite frankly, to me, this one seemed to be the one that kind of ticked most of the things that I could think of that might be an issue. Like number one, obviously, I assumed we didn't want to move anybody out of their own district, so that's accomplished. We didn't do that. Number 2, we do need to try to meet as much as we can what the current precincts are. So that's one of the things it's not a shall, but it's, you should try to be as close as you can. This only splits one existing precinct, and I have talked to the county clerk about that. They knew which one I'm looking at. It's the biggest precinct in the county, one of the biggest precincts in the county. So they probably need to split it anyway. So it's not gonna hurt them to split that. They'll end up matching up perfectly to that. We're not necessarily working with fiscal court on it, but what I assume the letter of the law on that probably means is that, normally, under normal circumstances, the fiscal court would probably do their thing with the magisterial district boundaries, and then they would move forward. You're all kind of just beating them to the punch on that one. It's either they go first or you go first. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the school boards we see, they don't really care what the magistrates do. They kind of go in there and do their own thing. I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to attempt to try to keep those close to the precinct line, because I do know what that does to the county when they have to split those. It's just like a city thing, where they have to split one of those up, every person that comes in. Now, with modern technology and all that stuff, we can work around it. So, I mean, but it's still one of those things that the law does kind of say to match it as close as you can. So we tried to do that with this here and looking at it. We also didn't split up a lot of those precincts. And I will say, with fiscal court, what could happen with the magisterial district boundaries, and I'm not going to predict anything, but I do know that in looking at theirs, there's not a whole lot of change. There literally could be the same exact magistrates next time and meet the letter of the law what they have to meet than there is this time. That probably won't happen, but it could, so.
And the one thing to remember too is we have much less constraint about what our boundaries are than they do, hence our existing boundaries.
To some degree, if I was in the clerk's position here in the county, I would almost rather you go first. Appreciate the spirit of cooperation as much as possible, obviously, but I would almost rather you kind of go first, because whatever you then said, they have the ability to maybe try to, I said fix that, but make their precincts work in coordination with that better afterwards. It will actually for the county clerk's office, not necessarily with the magistrates and stuff. This will probably work better having you guys go first, because if there's any minor changes that you make, or anything where you pull something out or do something like that, they can more easily adjust to that later on than they could if you did it after they've already run all theirs.
And I just want to make one comment. I mean, we're allowed to speak on behalf of that, but it's just really weird that we go from one meeting, all agreeing that we need to do this, and then a certain someone fires their financial paperwork, and then all of a sudden we pump the brakes on moving things around. So forgive me when I feel things smell a little fishy as well. And I think that if that doesn't have anything to do with it, then shame on me, but still yet, this seemed like it was a pretty favorable topic across the board until some certain things that got announced in the public, and now it's like all of a sudden we want to pump the brakes, or part of us do. So my point in all of this district moving, just to get it on the record, because that's what we like to do, right? Get things put on the record, is to make it formal. So this was split up in the past to accommodate one voting district. Is that correct? I don't expect anybody to answer. This gets it back in a more formal process to where there's no moving things around to make sure one person can stay on the board. To me, this looks like a formal process to make things equal. And next year is not going to be a good time to do it. The year after is not going to be a good time to do it. We had agreed several meetings ago that it was something we need to look at, and in a week's time, that changed, so. My opinion is not gonna change. I like the fact that you got it as close as you have, and I appreciate your hard work you went into that. I do agree that we need time to review it, look at it, and to make sure that it's equal for all board members and not just to benefit one or one candidate that may be running in this election this year. So that's my 2 cents on it. So I appreciate the work you put into it. Very thankful for it. You give us the numbers that we need, and I think that's what's most important, is that we divide the voting people in this county, the greatest opportunity to put them in the right places, because that's what matters most.
Now, I'll follow up with that. It was 2 people that changed, and I don't know how the vote was taken.
Yeah.
Baker was probably on the board at that time, I'm not for sure.
I was not with that. The original,
Okay,
lines were drawn, I was not.
so it wasn't just one area. There was 2 different ones taken. And then, yes, this has been an issue, and it should have already been fixed a long time ago. And, but that's just, and it's not just it's not the McKinney people that are talking to me. I know that's what people mostly think. It's people all over this county and outside of this county.
Mr. Shane, can you go with option 4, copy option 3 and roll over to option 4? And let's see if anybody, how somebody else would want it rolled up.
Be happy to. Do we want to start with option 3,
2, 1, do you all want to start with anyone in particular?
Yeah, I'm fine. It doesn't matter to me.
or do we,
Yeah.
start with option 3 on where we're at?
Yeah, and again, my position is only gonna be that I just want it divided as equally as possible. That doesn't matter to me.
I thought option 2, there was less.
Yeah, and I
Most
agree.
everyone was.
I agree with Bruce on that. It's not, it's never, to me, it's never to appease a certain group, a district. Now, it may have appeared or whatever, and the person got elected and stayed on the board, or whatever, this is what it is, but, the fact of the matter is that whatever the option is that we decide to go with, I just hope that it's fair across. Yeah, I mean, it's the voting people that matter. I mean, I hate the fact that we've got to sit here and make that decision.
Yeah.
We can divide it.
It's
How many
not
times can you
easy.
split the hair?
It's not an easy thing to do. This is one of those deals that, I can't tell you if, all I know is that the way that when putting it together, I did not see, I don't know what any of that would be, if there is any of it, to be honest with you. If anybody was trying to manipulate it, or if it's manipulated, we're pretty close with Sonny on this. But it was primarily my questions were, what does this do to your precincts? What does this do, from that standpoint? If he knew something I didn't know, he knew something I didn't know and I didn't see it, so.
Can I say something real quick? Another thing they talk about is working with the fiscal court, but we're kind of unique here in Lincoln County because we only have 4 magistrates and we have 5 board members. My previous experience as administrator in other districts is you have 5 of each. So you want to work with them because you try to stay the same. But this is like comparing apples and oranges when you say 5 versus 4.
It makes it very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I want it to be able to, when it's done, that nobody can look at it and say that it was rigged to help one person stay on the board. That's the main thing.
Do y'all want to start with option 2 then? Is that?
I just want to ask a question before we even start that, because we're not sure where the schools are located. But it looks like the blue 5 comes all the way over to Hall's Gap on all options. So is the school in that area? Is Highland School right there?
We can zoom into that and find out. Might have to ask somebody more familiar with that area than me. If you can look at obviously this is 27. I don't know if you can see that kind of down
It
through.
is.
It's on the right side of 27.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
On the right side?
That's it right there. So that's where the school is at. And let me turn back on the districts. So yes, that would be in the blue on each one of those, I do believe. So in that situation, you would have both as far as buildings are concerned.
Well, I'll make a point here. In two of the three options, Houstonville has moved out of District 1, which is, the one that's currently in my district. And I really don't care. The reason I don't care is because I believe that it's more important that we have equal voters in each district. Because I'll be honest with you, the thing that exists, the tribalism over the elementary schools, I think is one thing that's held this district back. And I think we need to show that we can move away from that. It's just my opinion. I agree.
Well, that is true, but anytime someone needs to talk to a board member about something, they will say, well, who is your board member? And you need to talk with them. And that is how it works. I mean, I get lots of calls and they're from my precincts. I do get calls from Stanford also, but mostly from where I, represent. So.
Here's what I think what the original was, and I will find out, because I'll come through and look through the old minutes, because I have a good idea when it happened, is what's A104, I think, those are so small, which is in that Boneyville area, was with McKinney precincts. And I'm thinking because there wasn't any issue with the contiguous until after this change was made. I think A103 was with McKinney and A102 was with Houstonville.
Why don't we go back to the one that was the original one then and just move some of that around, just start with that if y'all want to. Would that be okay to kind of go back to that?
Just start somewhere,
Yeah.
so we can kind of get an idea of what they got in mind.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, if that works out, I'm completely fine with that.
So, let's see.
Well, it won't because yours is way
Mine,
down in here.
yeah, I'll make that down to it.
Okay. All right, so that's the original, and I'm going to start editing this. So maybe make the changes. Okay, you're saying A104, so I'll go through and select by attribute. Precinct number equals A104. So that's that area there.
Yeah.
See, we want to move that into District 3, correct?
That's what, yes. Because there are some documents where it's listed as A104 and D104.
So
But
just,
Shade said just a few minutes ago that since this has been changed, the
Yeah.
magistrates changed the precincts.
yeah, the precincts have probably changed some since then, I would think. Now, the last time we did the update on the magisterial district lines and changed the precincts at the time would have been obviously in, 2010, but it would have been right around 2012. I don't know when this happened with the board,
Come in later,
so it would have been prior to that change,
It
probably.
would have been about 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah, so it would have been prior to the magistrates changing anyway. I do remember at the time, Sonny said he wanted to work with the board to try to get that, some of that mapped correctly, but there never was an opportunity, I don't think, to do that for whatever reason.
So you think that was pretty close right there, Bruce, where it looks like right now?
And then I think the A103 was with McKinney and A102 was with Houstonville. I'm not for sure on that, but I do know that Boneyville area was in McKinney's.
You think the A102
I think that was with Houstonville,
and A103?
and that 103 I think was with McKinney. I think they came in there and touched the end.
Now, that might have been the case. See, now they wouldn't.
No, they weren't.
So 103, you think at one time was with McKinney?
Yes, I think that was the
Let's just change it
Stanford
to see.
that was with the McKinney. District 3, let me say.
Okay, so it is actually in 103 right now. So 102 would be the one that needs to be
I
changed.
think it was the one
to.
they switched those two.
Okay.
That's when it didn't make McKinney's contiguous.
So it was something like that.
I think the top part of 103 is still yellow, looks stupid yellow.
Did this, so, yeah, that's right, currently right now, this is all 103,
Well, maybe,
and this is all 102. Now, it may have been that it, back then, I do remember some, no, actually, it's right here. This is the thing that I remember. See how that goes through there, and it's all 101? So, no, that's what I was thinking. There was some place in Stanford I knew did that, but it's 101, not, I don't remember now. It's past, I don't remember real well past yesterday, so I know I don't remember that, but I do remember working on it before, but I don't remember, I'll be honest, I didn't know what the board was, so it could have been something like that. Maybe the precinct has changed enough that it no longer connects, and it did back then, but obviously with the way that 103 is right now, it would be hard to, it would be impossible for 102 to be in it and 103 not. But I'll be honest with you, back when people was doing this without doing mapping like this, they also just didn't know.
Right.
A lot of times you'd say, well, you look at the population numbers, and you just wouldn't know.
Right.
Until you actually looked at it on the map.
so the map that we have up on the district's web, because this all is yellow. See, that top part there is green.
Yes,
So I don't know, is that is that not?
I changed this already. I already
But still
changed that.
see, that part is still, maybe that's just, I don't know.
I mean, I can go back to what I had on there. Let me go back to what I had real quick. I think all I changed was that, wasn't it? Let's see here real quick. Let's do that. Yeah. Okay, so does that not
So
match
then
what's?
this top part here, this top part of that area goes with this one. That may be the confusion.
I'm sorry, I
I
can't,
have.
I'll have to look a little closer.
So this right here is not the division. So this is not all of 103 down there.
So it's maybe, okay, so it's not all of 103 that goes,
So
that
I
was
don't know.
originally in there. Okay,
That's the way,
let me see if I can bring up that original map.
because I know down in McKinney or in the little area of Geneva down there, on the side of the railroad crossing there, those people used to go to Highland, and back some time ago during the census change, they were put back in the McKinney.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Okay.
So that black line is the actual,
Precinct.
is the line there. So that one top part goes in with A102. Is that correct? So that whole big section there where your
This right
mouse
here.
is, that goes in with A102, right? That may be where the confusion is.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting confused on what I'm moving. So this, you're saying, you just kind of point me north, you're saying this,
That part right there where
we're
the mouse
pointing
is,
at right now?
that doesn't go with the A103, right? And I don't
Yes.
know, it's
It
over
is, it
with.
is part of A102.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's-
that
it's-
black line there,
This black line
is
represents
the-
the line, this line right here represents the boundary between A 103 and A 102.
I mean, without having the minutes where the board actually did that,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only thing I could think of is 103 would then possibly make it contiguous with the,
mhm.
with the D104, and D106 and D102.
If you can tell me which ones you want me to put over there, I don't care. to get
Well, I
them.
mean,
Try to
we don't want to change those, so then we would just stay with the 103 then where it is and see if
I got
102.
103 in which district, Bruce?
3. I'm thinking, I don't know for sure on the
Yeah,
standard. I do know the Boneyville, Blue Lake area was in the McKinney precinct.
then that makes sense. But this one here, 104 was, for sure.
Yes.
That's.
I'm guessing 103 was the Stanford one, because that's the only way they could be contiguous possibly.
Okay.
And 102 would go to the east of Bill.
Okay, so I could put this 103 back over into here, into the B 104, or back into District 2. Would that be what we're looking at doing to see if that gets it closer?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I think it actually, in your options, it does go into
Yeah,
District 2.
okay. So I'll move that piece of it back into District 2. Okay. This part up here, you're saying leave into this area here, or do we want to move it out as well?
I mean, it looks like that's gonna make,
Yeah, you're way over
yeah,
right
that's
now. in
what I was
District 2.
thinking. I thought you were putting it back to the original.
Yeah,
I think.
and who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
so you're saying that not all of 102 though was in there? Or
102 was probably, again, not having the minutes, was with Houstonville, the District 1.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
See that, I think that's the one that was switched,
Okay,
those two.
okay. So that's your guesstimate of what it was?
Well, if you're trying to, would be, the 103 would have been with McKinney at that time in District 3.
And you just think there was some split between here that might have made it non-contiguous?
I was only thinking possibly kind of,
Yeah.
I know down there, that road on 698,
Mhm.
one side of it used to go to Highland. There was a change with some census
Yeah.
data, and those people now are in District 3.
Just out of curiosity, let me try to put that, let me put it back in there again and see what it gets, so close, how close. And of course, the other problem is population has changed pretty drastically since then too, so it's kind of hard to know whether, because you had so much growth. We had so much growth, especially in that, like 1990 through 2010, that Moreland area has changed unbelievable.
That was the growth area, but
Yeah.
really not
And
for
so-
students.
So some of these numbers, like this area here, back before that change took place, it may be significantly over now, looking at it the way it was then. But back then, it probably wasn't, because you can go to that Moreland area 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was a whole different area to some degree.
So when you were showing us the 3 different options, if I recall, I think option 2 was the one that was, where most were within, right? If I
Option
recall.
2.
Option 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, being the closest, I think, on all the numbers, that was probably the case. I can't really remember distinctly what's majorly different between it and 3.
Let's go 198, that area is in 1
It doesn't go up into Stanford as far.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a pretty big difference on 1.
Population means number of people, not number of students, correct?
That's correct. Number of people. Now, that's something we could pull in too, but, I don't have that in numbers now, and it takes a lot more work. Because then I've got to actually geolocate those folks.
No, no, what population?
Yeah, it's just, we don't need.
Well, except for me, I would like still to go west a little bit on 150. Like you said, just a little bit, and include all those kids there that go to Crab Orchard.
Mhm.
And they are told they go to Crab Orchard, but they're in Stanford's district.
Mhm.
And I just think that was so strange when I found that out. My grandchildren always went to Crab Orchard.
Yeah,
And I was so shocked when I realized they were in Stanford's district all that time.
yeah, I was always shocked.
Voting
that
district.
people- Was it
Voting
Candle,
district.
what's the
Candle
subdivision?
Light or
Candlelight, I was always
Candlelight.
surprised.
Yeah,
We went to school with, the boys went to school with those kids, and I was always surprised they didn't go to Stanford. As close as they are to Stanford versus Crab Orchard. But that district runs all the way over in there too.
Yeah.
And if we pull in,
well, that area right there is just about 5 miles out of Stanford and 5 miles out of Crab Orchard, right through there.
and those old attendance areas were set
yeah,
You can't move that without dividing the
10
precinct.
years ago.
Yeah, he can move it he can divide a precinct.
yeah, that's
We
the
just,
point.
we
They
just
had-
need a
yeah.
landmark.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can move whatever you all want to do. I just am trying to keep
Yeah.
precincts as whole as possible. That don't mean we can do it.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all with Meek on that. I know it's probably a little bit more difficult of an ask. And I don't know how you gotta shift everything around to make it equal. I don't know how difficult that is, but I agree with her. It does, while the thing, while having that mindset, I work for a district, again, I've talked to parents with every school and still do.
I'd be.
That it's really hard to define that I serve a specific school as much as I love Miss Montgomery and everything she's doing in Highland. There's also a bigger thing that we're doing here. But if it's possible, again, I just want it to make sense. And if it makes sense to have every Crab Orchard kid that goes to Crab Orchard under one district, then
Do we want to start with option 2 then?
I don't
Just
have. a
put either one of them.
That,
Just
2 or 3, either one.
Just put either one of them up.
I don't care either way. I think
I
they're both.
just, I thought you said option 2, most divisions were within.
I think 3
I
was.
think 3's actually.
Three's the
yeah,
closest.
3's got the most of them. There's only 2 that isn't in 3, and one of them's only 7 people off.
Yeah, and
You
it's
said
Meek.
2,
The
3,
other-
and 4.
The other
okay.
one, District 1, I think is a little high.
2, 3, and 4 are perfect.
Yeah, but 2, 3, and 4.
You said 1 was under. and
Start.
5 was over.
Start with option 3.
What would the landmark be? Just Goshen?
Well,
There's
Here, I'll
Goshen
change.
kids.
Pull it up here and let me change it. Sorry.
We gotta move slowly because I don't want
Yeah, you
to,
don't
I
want
don't
to
want to
lose
lose
what you already got.
something. Yeah.
Is the Goshen kid, would it be the Goshen,
Okay.
like First Southern Veterans Park East?
So right now, District 5 is over by 7. So anything we add to that, we will be causing it to go a little bit over more.
Mhm.
But, you know,
But in the original one, it was not
Am I District 5?
over.
No, Adam's
no,
5.
that's-
Okay, I'm District 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got it copied and you're ready to start changing. You're not gonna lose 3 if
I'm
we,
not gonna lose 3.
okay. So now come up here on this, blow it up a little bit so I can,
Y'all need,
You need a five.
y'all need.
got bifocals and
Uh,
pointers.
We
red-
need binoculars.
Red lasers to show me where you want me to be. You wanna bring in some of this area?
no, scoot the map on up. Give me, shoot, and I just, Ottenheim. The whole circle that's 6, one of these maps that I had the whole. Ottenheim, the Ottenheim circle.
Ottenheim Circle, I don't know
That should
exactly.
be close to where you're at right there.
That's kind
Yeah.
of this
It's more to
area.
the tip, right?
Yeah.
To your right more,
643.
to your left now, right
Let
on
me
the
see, I'll
tip.
turn on the road real quick.
Yeah, turn the roads on.
643, is this it coming over here? I need to put some labels on there. That's 643 right there.
Circle that circle
So
around.
you're about right there.
Yeah, circle that road all the way around there, 643.
Okay, where do you want me to get? Below it or above it or along, or both of it? Is it the point of the screen?
Yeah, there we go.
Just tell me what you want me to grab.
We're 643.
643 right here.
Circle this little. Right,
Now,
six,
this is already in there.
give it to me.
that
Give
to
me
you.
643.
All this inside of here,
Yes,
you want just all of this up to here?
no, just the 643.
Oh, okay. So 643 comes to there. That's 643, that's not 643 right there. Is that 643?
643 is a circle on this map.
I was on 643, I apologize, I need to learn these roads better. That's 643 coming in there. Let me see what on the map we want to do. Okay, so you want all this area right here, south of 643.
Make it this color.
Got you. Trying to watch. Well, we've got option 3 up there, and we're looking at option 2 here, so that's not on me. All right, so you want all that right there in there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure it's 43. I think that's it.
Okay.
Move that all in yours,
Mm-hmm.
move that in the file.
You don't have to completely fill it all in, all these little spots that they ain't, no, just so they can kind of.
Messed up.
I thought we were
What
trying to go
you
some part.
I thought I moved it to 5, but I didn't. Or I did move it into 5, it's already in 5. Need to move it into 4. You're 4.
Okay, now whatever this road is right here, from right here up to here, take away from me. And give to Etta.
Starting to look like Houston.
I'll clean up all these little.
No, I don't have to worry about cleaning it up, cause I'm not gonna keep this, this is,
District. Move that into District 5.
Now y'all tell me what y'all like changed.
We're trying to get closer to Veterans Park so we can get all those kids that Ms. Meek was talking about in Crab Orchard. So,
You were adding one, go show him what you want.
Yeah, but that would be more this way, right? That'd be coming into here.
right in the west, and that was,
Just 150.
yeah, just also, yeah, also, yeah, go towards 150 west and just pick up Candlelight, Star Point, you're right, in that area, or whatever those, is it Star Avenue, I'm sorry, I think it's part of that road. So I would say Goshen, I would about be willing to say Goshen East, would that about get it? Is that? Am I close?
Is this area down here in it too?
Is it, Ricky?
I think Goshen's too far out, don't you?
It's got, it's within, it has to be
The
within.
worst thing is that you pick up these, what happens, you start getting into here,
Yeah.
you start getting really big census blocks like
Yeah.
that. You pick up that, you're picking up all of, which that's probably okay.
Yeah, I
But
think,
the problem is you get this one here, well, that's okay probably too then.
Yeah.
Looks like there's a power line, you get everything to that power line.
which would be up Preachersville Road, yeah.
Probably.
Aaron County.
Mhm.
You tell me where the power lines are, I'll tell you where the kids are. The,
I don't know why that's not broken by power line. It should be.
what?
The attendance area.
I don't know.
thought it always stopped at preachers.
Yeah, so what if we go,
Candlelight Estates is where it stops, right there on
Preachersville.
150.
And
So
that
what if-
Preachersville right across there.
so what if we went
Everything back.
Preachersville Road
Yeah,
east?
Mr. Tomlinson, you would know.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
Candlelight
There's
Estates.
Preachersville back towards Crown Point.
Yeah, there
Candlelight
you go.
Estates is it.
Yeah, cause that'll pick up.
There's Preachersville right there.
Comes down, connects into 30, whatever that road is, Bun Road.
Now we're taking away from you, Ricky, and then we're gonna.
No, listen,
just
I
have to
am,
give-
I have zero agendas today. I'm just trying to make it look good.
We'll just, yes.
Y'all let me 5 people, I'll go talk to them.
Okay, that's following the line, and where do we say Preachersville Road went to?
It goes from 39 all the way to
150,
150, that's correct.
That's it there, that's it there.
which is across the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will move all of that area in and see what we got there.
Do you think all those students go to Crab Orchard?
What I was, you could correct me, I
Candlelight
think you agree. Yes,
Candlelight East.
Preachersville Road.
Is that right, Ms. Tomlinson?
Those we go into.
As far as I can go on, 150 was.
Man, you
Now-
left me Dix River, thanks, appreciate it.
Now, I can take some of that at the top off if you want to, but when you start getting into here, obviously you get the north side of Preachersville. You get the north side back, or,
I'm just trying to make it right.
What your numbers look like now.
Yeah,
they're over by 509 on District 5. So, but we could give that to Gloria, put over there in that district back to Gloria.
Mhm.
Man, she's gonna get rid of some too. probably.
What if you brought mine back up towards Highland? Up 27, or are my numbers good right there?
no, you.
No, you're
Okay.
still, you're under by 42.
Oh, that ain't bad.
Oh, that's
I'm
not
sure
bad.
it's right.
Good, thank you. I'll figure it
But we're too high.
And you can be under.
We're too high.
Yeah, definitely got 509 in the District 5 is too high.
out. What is that right there, Bruce? Right there where he's pointing at, right there, right there,
Right here.
Yeah.
There's 27.
27. Yeah, that is all, that's Skyline Drive,
Mhm.
Horse Ridge and all that. Shouldn't that be, and
That's originally here.
could you put all that in the yellow? Or is that gonna put yellow
Go
with?
back.
And we could put it, oh yeah, either way.
Are you over, Gloria?
We could put it-
Are you over? So you and I are over.
Road for a second. Okay.
You could take more of the there.
Yeah, you wanna bring this area back into here?
You could give it to yellow. 3, whichever one you wanna call it, and then maybe shift. I would say just everything on that west side of 27. Cause that don't make sense anyways, does it?
Did you say the left side? The
West
27?
side,
If
whichever,
you're-
Oh, west side,
Yeah.
okay.
southwest, whatever you wanna call it.
Okay. 27, that's 27, I think, right there. Give that back to District 3.
On those numbers.
That puts me at number,
And if it puts him over, you could just give me like the Oakwood, Foster Lane, up to 150 right there, I guess.
That one right there back to you or to,
Ricky, do you still live in that area?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I live right next to my competition.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Ned,
yes,
back up there in the Stanford, help. The 2 Stanfords that's in Division 3 right now. Which one of them has Foster Lane in it?
Yours.
Which one? No, I don't know which.
It's the precinct.
Foster Lane.
Yes.
I was just curious.
Yeah, Foster Lane, Highland.
That was the one that was with Houstonville. Just came to mind the reason it was done. Okay.
Yeah, that was, what is it? Harmon Heights, yeah, Foster Lane, Harmon Heights.
Wherever Foster Lane is, that was the division that was with Houstonville.
Okay.
The- District
Oh,
one.
divided. Man, that's a big,
You heading for it?
that's a big precinct.
The 102.
Yeah, if you could split that almost in a curve. I still think it looks better.
At least you don't have it all separated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 106 over on number 3 and 183 under on number 1. And the other 3 are good with that.
Could you zoom in, please, on the line of 1 and 3?
1 and 3.
Yeah, there's a little,
This area,
yes, sir. You know, what about right? Yeah, it's that little triangle looking piece right there.
right here.
Could you make that green and that fix the Smiths?
Bring in this area right here.
Yeah,
And that's got 30 people in it.
and then add that little jag off of there and there, yeah.
That's 41 people.
People we hunt for.
It's about, I mean, it's 183 under on District 1. So they pick up some of those small pieces too.
Yeah, and then you got a little piece that looks like a boot right there.
Yeah.
A little bit lower.
Move that over to District 1. Bring in this.
Yeah.
I only got it down 40. That's the problem in these rural areas. You just don't pick up a lot of people quick.
What about more of the upper part there? Larger population.
It's so big.
You could quickly get it right here, I'm sure.
Yeah. You have to divide it.
But then you'd be dividing some weird subdivisions too.
Yeah, keep adding, I'll just keep adding.
Right here,
Yeah, I've added those.
just do this, we got, looks like railroad tracks and something distinguishing. One,
That's 56 people.
and we need, and
They go into there.
Now you're getting into, that's getting right into,
So when you're doing that, are you dividing those areas then?
Oh, yeah, you're making your
That's what I was
precincts.
thinking.
George is gonna freak out.
Yeah,
That's-
See, what
Oh,
we're
it's the
doing is
same
we're
thing.
dividing precincts.
Huh?
it's the same thing.
We're dividing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're dividing precincts up.
Just do it in a different place.
Yeah.
Good catch, Mr. Bruce.
I mean-
I was like, hold on.
It really does, I mean, you know, it makes it a lot easier when you say, you don't worry about the precincts and you just go on. I mean, you know. Cause that's kind of, when we do magisterial district, well, they actually did, once again, the clerk tries to hold them in certain areas because he knows where those precincts are at as well, and he tries to keep them, hey, you can do this area instead, or whatever, you know, to keep those from moving around when we do magisterial lines too. So they do try to hold them to it. But if you just ignore the precinct lines, it makes it a lot easier to just move these blocks around wherever you want to at, you know, and I don't want to encourage you all to do that because I know what a mess it is for him,
So,
you know, but
I don't either.
We don't want to go on.
No.
So how close did we have it again with having, Ms. Meek's requests? I know we probably went so far now, it's hard to say.
let me go back out. I can just step back on where we were at. Okay, so,
Cause I think we were close except for the Smiths, correct?
But all that moving there, didn't you separate precincts there or not?
well, yeah, we did a little bit.
go back and change mine, take me out of Ottenheim,
But I think that it was,
and,
That was one of the first things I did.
uh-huh,
yeah, that was another.
and leave the split at 27.
Okay, but I got, to do that, I'll have to redo one of the two. Let's just go back to where we took you got off. Well, that was right there was the area we did.
So we couldn't give Crab Orchard all of that because it's the split. That
You're splitting up precincts.
Split up
And I
precincts.
don't want to make sense. I mean, my opinion.
I think the easier the better, but I do like it. I do
Yeah.
agree with where she was going with that.
But I mean, we need to do all those attendance areas, but you can't do it that way.
With that, now that's still with, we still don't have the area moved out of where you changed it. Ooh. Okay. Is that before we changed it right there? And then we need to change this area here
I
back.
feel like we're gonna get to the point where it's gonna look just like option 3.
Well, that's what, it might be easier for me to go to option 2, option 3, or back to that, and just move that area that you were talking about in there to see what it
Yes.
looks like.
Yes, that'd be
Can
quicker.
we do that?
Yes,
Yeah,
But are we gonna separate precincts?
because right now you're with that, 'cause we had to move that over.
there's only one precinct separated in option 3.
Okay.
And these others, there was precincts separated.
Option 3.
Shoot, no wonder I can't find the paperwork.
All right.
Yeah, oh, well, I left it.
That's option 3. This is Preacher's Row Road. Is this Preacher's Row Road?
I think so.
That should be a yes.
Is that it, Win, Ricky?
I think that's it.
Okay, and how much did we want to take out of there? We definitely want all of that. And this. And if we take a line up through here, because I don't know where I just know that the candlelight
Candlelight,
area You want me to get this area, because this is Candlelight right here. Get this area right here.
Mhm.
Okay, we can move. What else do we need to grab there?
You know what other kids are there? Right off this meeting.
You'd have to do the whole Preachersville Road piece, right? For
Yeah.
Gulfport.
Yeah, all I got is the Preachersville Road, all I've got is the south side, so we need to get this area up here.
Which are you splitting precincts then?
Yeah.
Well, the first thing we pull out of there, we're splitting them, so we're splitting them regardless, so I mean.
I mean,
That's
those
hundred
folks,
and
Ed, can always still
sixty-one,
call you. I mean,
How much is it, Mr. New?
161 people right there to add to it. You're already over by 7.
Okay. So 218.
Makes it 168 over if we move that in.
168 over the 10%?
Yeah.
Okay.
The lines just look so. I just don't like the lines. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it just. That was one of my whole concerns is like, well, where you live, Walnut Flats, it follows the creek and not the road. It don't follow Walnut Flats Creek Road, it follows the creek. It comes off the cutoff and goes across the street, follows the creek all the way down instead of the road. That one's another one that looks like it's just gonna be, which side of the fence do you live on? You know, and I know it's never good to divide, but I'm completely fine with it. It just looks like the lines are so,
Just look, the lines do look
they just look a little, just
different looking.
the straighter the better, I like. Besides
They
that,
have to follow the roads or?
yeah, besides that turtle looking thing coming off the hill,
Yeah.
turtle head coming down the hill.
Yeah, it's a strange looking district.
What'd that do to Ricky? What, District 3, what did that do to?
District 2 is still
District
fine.
2.
Yeah, really, the only two that's got an issue right now is District 1 and District 5. Of course, they're separated our district, District 5. So District 5 and District 1, which are on opposite ends of the county, so you really can't take one and give the other one real easy. You have to kind of migrate around to get it working out right.
Even though I don't like the way the lines look, I don't have a problem with it.
Just to look at it, does look real
It looks a little funny.
strange, doesn't,
Yeah, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't bother me. I would just,
doesn't bother me.
But you've separated original precinct, right?
Yes, we do. But Ricky's okay on his numbers.
Mhm. Yeah, it's still good. He's getting toward the lower, well, no, he's about 300 to the good, 300 to the good. So you can still give up another 300 people and still be within the tolerance. But there's nobody around him that needs to give up anything. Really, in all honesty, yours needs to
Right.
give up
Yeah.
probably at all.
How many more can I take?
Green needs to gain and blue needs to go. You are in a situation in 4 where you're at the upper end. Yes, and you can give up. You're at 544 and the max is 5,044 and the max is 5,098. So you can only take on another 54 people without going over the 10%. So. And if you're in District 1, the less people you represent, that's the less people get upset. You're 100 and something low, but I don't know if I'd complain or not.
I guess I'm just in the odd egg out, but I get calls from people from Crab Orchard. I get calls from people at Houstonville. I get calls from people at the high school. That, you know, I have bus babies that are secretaries, attendance clerks, bus drivers all over the whole county, and they call me.
Yeah.
So I don't care where my lines roll.
Yeah.
And I don't care whether I gotta build it or not.
My guess is most people don't unfortunately know where they're, just like a lot of other things in the government, they don't know who even, sometimes they don't know who it is until they have a problem, and they'll find it then.
And then they'll definitely call you.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Information and everything else.
next step.
Does anybody want to change, want him to do another different way?
I call
You
this
want him-
option 4.
You want him to save that one?
I have no problem with it.
We can say this is option 4.
How many precincts did we split?
I'll look here in just a second.
Yes, we done by August. Okay. Yeah, let's see. We're gonna change it, so, right. You might say Jason. Yeah. But-
Whole one, I think. Let's see. It's a little bit hard to tell. I know we split this one,
We got C-104,
and I think this one here, I think that's. the way-
B-104,
C-104, and we took B-104.
Is that blue to the left?
Yeah, B-104, C-104, I think
Now,
that's
is
the
that
only
blue
two we
up
split.
there?
I'm sorry, this one here,
Yeah, that
that's,
kind of looks like a boot. Is that like out from that
that's the area
west,
we,
that little tiny blue up there? Is that 5? Or what is that?
this here's 5, this is what we put into 5. That was
No,
out
I'm
of that,
going on over.
this one,
Yeah, right there.
that's the city C-10, the A-103 that we, that's just showing, all I'm doing right now is showing stuff that changed. That's
Okay.
just changed, so it's just a selection, so no, that's still inside of the, still inside of district.
Okay.
District 2. So all that was
Okay,
just changed.
okay.
So it
Yeah.
looks like
Yeah, I got
we did change this precinct
Mm-hmm.
and this precinct here. That's the only ones I see that we changed. And, now that gets us, we're 183 off on one, 168 off on another, that's not horrible. By any means, I'm trying to get within that 10%, that 10%.
But 3 still is a better option as far as,
And I think it was still closer.
it's still, you had one that was 7 over, and
Let me look at that.
it seems like it's a little more fair across the board, I guess you could say.
Let me bring that
3 was over by 7. I just kind of wrote these down as he said them. 2, 3, and 4 were okay, and 1 was under.
One was under by 183,
Mhm.
yep, and 5 was over by 168.
And option 2, hold on, let me get that. 1 is over,
One is under, yeah, 183,
I got some meeting
and 5 was
over
over.
by 168.
Well, okay. You mean after you moved them or originally?
This is after we moved them. This is
After you moved them,
option
okay,
number 4.
168,
this
yeah.
is number 4.
And what was
Yeah, this
option
is
2?
number 4, yeah.
Number 2.
Option 2.
Okay, let me check, bring that back up a little bit. Yes.
Ms. Tomlinson, are you happy with that? Or do you think that
There's a,
makes
101,
reasonable sense,
105,
common sense?
Under,
I mean, I just agree that, you know, they could call you still, even if they weren't in your precinct. I mean, you could still
63,
take their calls. I mean,
yeah, number 3 is
And you
under.
could tell them to vote
you know
for
what?
me.
Over 57?
Off the
Number
record.
5 is over about 57.
They call you.
That's option number 2, which is not bad.
Under
Hey, if you
63?
could, if it's a bad
And under
comment, you can always
105,
forward them to me.
Yes, number
Okay.
1 is under 105. Yes, sir.
You don't care, show option one.
Okay. Okay, option 1, the only ones that were off was, number 1 was over by 104. And number 5 was under by 267.
And a lot, and there was a lot changed in
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
But there was a
lot.
whole lot of precincts that changed that, of course, this is not about Sonny, but a whole lot more paperwork for Sonny.
Yeah.
Oh, you changed precincts here? You didn't?
Yes.
Split some more.
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't split none, he just
Oh, yeah,
changed.
just change more. There's
Yeah,
definitely
like he
more
give me this much over
options.
here, which would probably be Crab Orchard kids if we go with
It would be.
one.
Cause my kids go, that's my area.
I mean, if we're gonna do that, we can start just splitting all of them.
That's right.
Where Houstonville, Crab Orchard.
Yeah, we'll just start.
is, okay?
Yeah, we'll just start.
See, this,
How about
this,
that?
this,
Mix
this
them
one,
up, mix them all up.
So
So
we're
that
not doing
everybody's.
that, we'll just, you know, I'd rather be
I
where.
don't know if there's not an advantage to somebody representing like 3 different,
Yeah.
Crab Orchard had 3 different ones of y'all, I could call that, this be a lot better option maybe against.
Yeah, let's just pick, yeah, we want.
I mean, that's right, if we're gonna separate it there,
Put the
let's just.
stripes across the county, big stripes.
well, I don't see no distinguished.
Looks like
This
we'll-
one.
He has
This
to
was,
have.
This right here, I'm going back to 3.
this is option 3 right here, so it's under,
He has
I
to
think
have
I wrote that.
distinguished.
under 183 for one.
Yeah,
This
over
got
It's
168.
over 7, no, just over 7 for District 5.
Oh,
That's the only thing that's off on that one.
Yeah, three says.
Oh, I thought
that's easy.
well, it's under 180 and over 7.
5, so hers is over by 7 on that one, yeah. So once again, unfortunately, the 2 that are off just a little on that one are just on the opposite side of the county, so it's.
That was what we looked at the original order modified.
And so obviously, what we did from this one was pulling out this area right here, really only just made it off like 180 something or 100 and whatever it was too on option 4.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't make the legitimacy of the process that much different really. You're still close on both of them and, picks up that area more for you and feels like that's better. I mean, it's not going to change a whole lot.
I do like the lines on that one better.
To me, I mean, the map looks more, or what they, like in the magisterial district lines, they tell you to be, you have to be contiguous and compact. Well, compact has been one of those legal terms that, what does that really mean? And so they've got away with compact being a line running clear across the county.
Yeah.
And in the state of Kentucky, it's a line now that runs from western Kentucky all the way to Frankfurt. So, what do you call compact? It's all a matter of when you get. But this one does look more compact, and stuff, but, I like making pretty maps, but once again, it's not necessarily about that.
But in your 3 options you didn't change any of the original precincts right now. The precincts, you didn't go in and start dividing.
The only
precincts.
one was on all of them, I think we changed, well,
You
the
changed
first-
some on all
the
of them.
first one, yeah, we did. The first one, I think this area up in here, D103 maybe, might have got taken out. And then I know the last 3, I want to say C104 got split on all of those. Cause C-104 was originally in yours, wasn't it? Was it?
Every bit of,
Oh,
that whole.
absolutely. Yeah, I ran all the way up past,
Yeah.
Houstonville.
Yeah, Houston.
I mean,
Holland. Yeah, Holland.
Halls Gap Estates. I got it out. Took me a minute. Shake Rack.
Yeah,
is
it's,
kinda my
it's
area.
split in option one. Yeah, it's split, there's precincts split in all of them.
Yeah.
I love those people up there too, but that, to me, it just, logistically, it makes more sense.
The magisterial goes right all the way up through there, and several people in Highland don't believe I'm not their board member. Because Jeff Ruckles their magistrate.
Yeah, it definitely does make it difficult having format, because literally, in all honesty, if that was the same, there would just be a matter of just all the numbers they get, and make it easy for doing that, but, and that's why it would make more sense, like the laws, try to work with fiscal court on it. Well, it makes sense to work with fiscal court if it matched up 5-5, 4-4, there's just no what, 4-5, it's really apples and oranges. I'm trying to figure that out, where it's going to make, because you can't, about take just a little bit off of each one, is what you have to end up doing.
So right now, of course, you kind of made up an option 4 based on the changes so if you could get us a copy of that to look at.
On option 4.
Yeah, send it to him, he'll get it out to us.
Okay.
The other part of it is, of course, I mean, I'm still assuming nobody wants to take any action tonight. Is that correct?
I would like to, I'm not gonna say I'd like to make an action motion. I started off, didn't mean that way. I'd like to narrow it down. I mean, is that an option? To say we like 1, 3, and 4, or 3 and 4?
I just
or
think
2
we
and-
need time to look at all of them. We got these late, well, I don't know what time. I didn't
I've
get
had
them
them
late
for-
on Friday.
Yeah, I
Of
got them
course,
here.
with the play over the weekend, and I mean, really, I didn't get to look at these till
Right.
yesterday, Monday.
All right, we'll put it
I've
on the
had 2
agenda.
days to look at them,
Well, right.
and
Well, I'm just
that's
asking.
about 4 hours.
I'm just
actually.
asking. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good to not do anything
I would
tonight.
like
The only
us
reason we
just
put
to-
that down was just in case we
Yeah,
decide.
I'd like us just look at all
That's fine.
of them, including option 4, and
So can we put it,
So our working meeting is April the 14th. We'll add this to the agenda of our next working meeting. Go from there.
and we
Okay.
do an action item on this regular meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we get through that
what did
part.
you say, Ricky?
I said then possibly an action item on the next regular work, or the regular meeting.
Regular.
Which is the 21st.
Yeah. Yeah.
I make a
Anything?
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Vote.
Yes.
Gloria, Etta,
Yes.
Bruce. Yes. Ricky.
Yes, sir.
And me.
I apologize for being late, Steve. I had a couple.
That's okay, we were glad to wait on you.
I was sitting,